Hello and welcome to Textaid Tuesday with ReadSpeaker. My name is Rebecca Wildenhain, Marketing Director for ReadSpeaker. Before we begin, I'd like to go over a couple of housekeeping items. Our presentation today will take about 30 minutes, and that will include a Q&A session at the end. Your microphones will remain muted throughout the webinar. However, questions can be submitted through the Q&A feature located at the bottom of your screen. Today's webinar will be recorded, and you will get a copy of the presentation following the webinar. Now I'd like to introduce you to our host for today's Textaid Tuesday, Ginger Dewey. Ginger helps ReadSpeaker clients get the most use out of their suite of learning tools. With over 35 years as an educator in both K-12 and higher ed, Ginger is an advocate for both accessibility and UDL. Over to you, Ginger.
Thank you, Rebecca, and welcome to Textaid Tuesdays. This is the last of our series on Textaid Tuesdays, and I want to make certain that you learn as much as you can, so I want to quickly go back over what is Textaid. First, we have the standard listen buttons. Then we have our library, text, saving, download to MP3. We have some tools, which are a screen mask and reading ruler. And then we can annotate, highlight, writing assistance. Remember, that does not include grammar, translation, image to text, and then our settings. And there's a world more of tools. Today, we're going to talk about taking notes with pictures, how to translate a document, word lookup, and dictation. Anyone remember something like this? This actually predates me by a few years, but not many. It is a Comptometer by Commander, and it's the old-fashioned automatic dictation machine. How about this? Notes on a board, and this came from a conference call, and the name of it was Not a Good Sign by Tom Woodard. Sounds like he didn't enjoy that conference call. But our students see that information. Now, whoops, sorry about that. Now let's talk about our actual information. We're going to start off with taking notes with pictures. Students love to take pictures of what they're doing, and I took a picture of this slide from my slide deck. I used my cell phone camera. I emailed it to myself, but you can also transfer it to your computer by many other ways, such as by using your cord between your camera and your cell phone and your computer and transferring it through the cloud. There are lots of ways. So however you would normally transfer your pictures over, that's what you would do. Okay, I have a picture. I want to make it notes. So the first thing I'm going to do is image to text. And I have to choose the file. This is my file. I'm going to select my language. I want it in English. I have to select where to put it, and I'm going to put it in my webinars folder. Now, the next thing is the important part because you're going to save it as editable text. And with editable text, you'll notice there is a limit of 20,000 characters per saved text. If you go over that, it's not going to be as good. Give it a name, and this is going to be notes. And I start. Depending on the size of the file will depend on how long this takes. If it is a large file, of course, it's going to take longer. If it's a small file, it doesn't take as much. When I go to my library, I see my file. Notice that it is in a light blue stripe. When I click on it, there's the translation into editable text, and there's the original. Notice it treated this as a title, and it, get back to the picture there, and it made the bullets be bullets over here. Okay, that was a picture of a slide. But suppose I have another picture. This one was for a honey baked ham, and I appreciate them sending me that coupon. And if I wanted to translate this over into a image, excuse me, take the image into words, I have to look at what I'm doing. This $5 off is actually a picture inside this other picture. So it may or may not translate over. So let's do this again. Image to text. I choose the file and I select the language, say where I want it, and that I want it as editable text. If I want it as a read-only document, that's no different than reading it as a picture. So I think we do want editable text, and I'm going to call this ham coupon. Click Start. This one is a little bit bigger file than the other one. I go to my library and I click on the ham coupon. Notice with the ham coupon, it did not pick up this $5 off because that was a picture in a picture and that was more than what it could do. But it did get the rest of it. Now, please know, if you have good images, you get good output. There's the old saying, GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. It also means good in, good out. So if you have a picture that is not focused well, taken at a bad angle, fuzzy, anything like that, it's not going to translate well. But if you have a clear picture, it should translate pretty good for you. Okay, now let's go back to this one with notes, and let's say I don't know the word typing. So I'm going to look up the word. And it tells me that it is a noun. Now, typing, it does have the suffix ing on it. Sometimes when you're working with a word, it may not know the word with a suffix or a prefix on it. So sometimes you may have to go back to the root word when you're doing this. If the word can be multiple forms of the language, such as it could be a noun or it could be a verb or it could be an adjective or adverb, then it's going to list all those types. Let's say that still didn't tell me what I wanted. So now I'm going to look it up on good old faithful Wikipedia and see what Wiki has to say. Wiki gives me all kinds of information about typing, but that's still not what I'm looking for. So I'm going to look it up one more time, and I'm going to search the web for it. And generally, when you're searching the web, one of the things you'll get is a definition. And this time it didn't give me that definition, but it did give me lots of information about how to type. So it's giving me the type information. You also probably noticed that I could click and listen to it. Okay, suppose I need this document. Let's say my native language is Spanish, and I need this document in Spanish for me to get a gist of it. What I do is, first off, for the translation to work, it has to be on a new text document. It can't be a Word document or a PDF. You can copy and paste those over for the translation. We click on Translate. We tell it we want American Spanish. I also have some other choices, Canadian French, French, Spanish. I click on Translate. And there's all my information translated over. Now, translation uses Google Translate, and what it does is it goes each individual word in the order they are written in the original document. So let's talk about language structure. In many of our languages, the structure is not the same as you move from one to the other. Some languages have modifiers in front of the noun, some have them after the noun, and the same thing for the verb. So as you're looking at this, know that when you use translate, you're going to get a good gist of the document, but it may not be grammatically correct. Notice also that translation translates the entire document. It does not translate just a single word. Web Reader's translation does the single word. Now for my favorite part. Dictation is wonderful to me. I just think that is the best thing around. And to access it, you're in a new text document. You'll click on New Text and you'll get Untitled Text up here. Click on the microphone. When you click Start, it'll say Started, and that's when you start talking. Frosty the Snowman was a jolly happy soul with a corncob pipe and a button nose and his eyes made out of coal. Frosty the Snowman made the children laugh and play, and they were surprised when before their eyes he came to life that day. There must have been some magic in that old silk hat they found, for when they placed it on his head, he began to dance around. Now I click Insert Text. Now, let me stress, I have not trained this microphone. There's no training to it. And this is what you get from a good old Southern drawl. Yeah, Frosty the Snowman was a jolly happy soul, and I'm putting in the stanzas here, with a corncob pipe and a button nose, and his eyes made out of, it said cold instead of coal. Didn't know that word, so I have to fix it. Frosty the Snowman made the children laugh and play, and they were surprised when before their eyes he came to life that day. There must have been some magic in that old silk hat they found, for when they placed it on his head, he began to dance around. Now, this breaks it up into stanzas. We did have one word that it didn't know. It thought coal, C-O-L-D, was C-O-A-L was C-O-L-D. So we did have to fix that. We also noticed that when we put this in stanza form, we'd have to go back and make the letters capital at the very beginning of each one. And in this particular poem, there's no end punctuation. And this is the Gene Autry version of Frosty the Snowman. And as I said, I love this because if you can't type and you can talk, then this is wonderful. It just translates it for you. The clearer you talk, the better it will be. Do we have any questions, Rebecca?
We do. One
Okay.
of our questions is, how many images can I convert to text?
You can convert when you go to image to text. In an educational license, you can convert 25 pages per month. And after that, you've used up your monthly quota.
Okay, thank you. Another question that we have is, can you translate a single word or phrase?
No, not in not in Textaid. In Textaid, it translates the entire document word by word. Web Reader, another one of our products in our suite of learning tools, does translate individual words or phrases. Good question.
Great, thank you. Another question that we have is, with the word lookup feature, will the feature find any word?
Sometimes if you have a word that has an ED on it or an ING or an S on it, it may or may not find it as that word. You may have to leave off that suffix for it.
Okay, thank you. We do have a couple of other questions that I see that are coming in right now, and we will do our
Okay.
best to answer them within the Q&A feature in Zoom.
Okay. I'm looking at the chat. One of the questions is, are the buttons keyboard accessible to a screen reader user? There is help on the screen reader part. And if you have more questions at a later point with that, I can go into how you use the screen reader. But there is some accessibility there. And I see another one. Are the languages an option or a standard? They are part of your contract. So whatever languages you have in your contract are the languages that appear in your translation.
Great, thank you, Ginger. I believe that that's all of the questions that we have thus far.
Okay. Well, in that case, let me go back to this. Get my chat out of the way so I can advance the slides there. If you are interested in looking at our previous Textaid Tuesdays, you can access them at www.readspeaker.com/webinar/readspeaker-textaid-tuesdays/. That's the web address on our website that gives you the different webinars, and then you would click View Webinar. And if you would like more information, you can contact me. My name is Ginger Dewey, and my email address is ginger.dewey@readspeaker.com. If you would like a sandbox, please contact Paul Stisser. He'll be glad to accommodate you. His email is paul.stisser, STISSER, @readspeaker.com. This is the last of our Textaid Tuesdays, but please stay tuned for future ReadSpeaker webinars focused on our suite of learning tools.